Republican lawmakers blame a president weakened on the world stage for this.
The administration literally has no answers. And so if they can't keep our top secrets safe, then how can they keep us safe? I mean, this is just another example of us projecting weakness out there, and no one has any answers. It's like the leak of Roe v. Wade. Nobody has any answers on who, what, how, when, or where. We've got to do better for the American people.
Are we even sure the White House and the Biden administration made that a priority, a leak at the very highest court? Ben Domenech, Fox News contributor and editor-at-large for The Spectator. Ben, safety. I said it earlier. It really is the one job of federal government.
It's the highest priority that you can have as commander-in-chief, and I think, unfortunately, given all we're learning about the way that these leaks were treated, from the get-go, it seems that this is a massive failure on the part of the Biden administration to identify these things early and to shut them down. Look, just a little bit of background on this. Discord is essentially a Wild West part of the internet, where you have all these different servers, essentially chat rooms, where people talk about all these different things. The fact that these documents were put out there on a server, weeks, if not months ago, in terms of their origination point, there's debate about the actual origination point. That's just an indictment, frankly, of anyone in terms of their ability to track what's going on the internet in a way that can put, American interests at risk. And to Jennifer's point, this is also something that absolutely is designed to help and to favor America's adversaries around the world. It's designed to undermine our relationships with other nations, undermine our interests when it comes to backing the war effort in Ukraine. And the fact that this was not quickly identified and scoped in on by the Pentagon and by our intelligence services in ways that they are responsible for is just a total indictment of this administration when it comes to protecting America's interests.
You put that perfectly, and it makes me think of the China balloon. Hey, look, they knew about that. They saw that coming days before it even hit the continental United States. And then we waited a week for them to shoot it down when it got to the Carolinas coastline. I mean, went all the way across the widest part of our country. So we don't know what they knew and what they didn't know, really.
It's right in front of us. Yeah, we don't. And one of the things that I think is so concerning about this is, look, I know many people who are either ex-military, ex-intel, et cetera, who are active in these communities, and they're willing to share a lot of information that they really ought not. A few years ago, in fact, in these same Discord servers, there was an argument about the way that tanks worked in a video game, and someone leaked classified intel about the way that that tank worked in order to win an argument. Okay, so we're dealing with a lot of people who are willing to break all sorts of boundaries when it comes to responsibility and protecting America's interests. This is something that I think is of deep concern, and it would not be happening under an administration that I think had sent a very solid message about what there would be in terms of consequences of leaking these kinds of information.
Well, the State Department has finally given the wrongfully detained designation, we were waiting on this last week, to Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich. That's an important step. As we know, he's being held in Russia on espionage charges. The agency also is calling on Russia to release American Paul Whelan immediately. Whelan has been in custody since 2018 on similar charges to Gershkovich. He also has wrongfully detained status. That tag gives the United States more tools to negotiate a release. However, unfortunately, it doesn't appear to have sped up the clock for release in Whelan's case, but we pray for all of our people to come home. Critics say President Biden's weakness on Russia has emboldened Vladimir Putin. Really, no doubt. Here's Biden commenting on Gershkovich's case this morning.
Behind the line, guys. We're behind the line.
Mr. President, have you spoken to Evan Gershkovich's family?
Tried to get in yesterday. We missed calls. I called him yesterday. We missed calls, and they're trying from the plane.
Anything you can say about his case?
Well, we're making it real clear that it's totally illegal what's happening, and we declared it so. Changes the dynamic.
I tried to get them yesterday. Well, he's busy. Ben?
I don't see anything that the president is doing right now to change any of these dynamics, and it relates to a number of different people who are in horrible conditions. You mentioned Paul Whelan. You obviously mentioned the Wall Street Journal reporter in this case, which is of the utmost concern. But we also saw today a final statement to the court from Vladimir Kara-Murza, who is someone who is, I think familiar to you and to others as being a Russian dissident, someone who has lived in America for many years and was attempted to be poisoned by the Putin regime not once but twice. He gave a final statement to the court that was very dramatic, and I think that one of the things we need to understand about this moment is that the Biden administration is not doing any of the things necessary to put Russia in a bad position when it comes to all of these people that they are capturing. We need to put the brakes to them. Instead, we're treating this like the same way that we treated the drone incident most recently, where we're saying we're going to just guide our drones around the airspace that you're in. That's not acceptable. It's not an expression of American strength. We need to be putting the screws to Russia in a way that forces them to actually free these people, send them back home where they belong, and not engage in this type of behavior going forward. It's intolerable. It's not something we've seen really since the 1980s, and it's not acceptable when it comes to the way that we treat each other in world affairs. I understand we're in a proxy war with them at this moment, but you have to put the screws to them in order to release these people. Otherwise, they are likely to die in prison, never seeing their families again.
Ben Domenech, no consequences from this administration. I mean, you said it twice on two different fronts that are very important. We didn't even talk about the border. That's another national security risk. Great to have you in focus with all of your experience and perspective today. Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.